We are going to be doing a deck profile of my Galaxy deck. So, like I said, I took this deck recently to regionals before we got the ban list to come out. Literally, the ban list was going to take effect that Monday, and that Sunday before the ban list was to take effect was the regionals. So, I had to play in the older format. But I have adjusted the deck to the current format. Didn't change quite that much, but we'll talk about some of the changes and talk about the reason why I don't run some cards that some other people do, and talk about different ratios and everything as I go through the deck, and we'll talk about some of the different combos you can do in the deck as well, because I thoroughly enjoy playing this deck. So first off, we run our 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. He is pretty much, think of him as like a Blue Eyes White Dragon with a effect. With a decent effect actually too, which is pretty nice. So if he does attack an Exceed monster, you can banish it and it'll lose all its materials, which is nice. But you can also use him for a big beater like you can with Blue Eyes. Sometimes I've been able to dodge effects that are in the battle step by using his effect to banish both the cards, to miss timing. So there's little quirks he can do. But overall, think of him as your big beater. You usually want to have him in hand, on field, or attached as a material, most likely, in a Photon or Galaxy Exceed monster. Thus, it gains additional effects. So that's what you want to do with Galaxy Eyes. Those 3 main things. But thank you to my friend from years and years and years ago who gave me this card as a token of our friendship, because I love the artwork and I'm so glad I still have it to this day and I get to play it in this deck. If you guys don't know, I've been playing this deck for many, many, many years now, it feels like. At least 3 to 4 years. And actually, I've done profiles of myself profiling the deck back when the Felgrand structure deck came out, because that was the way I played it. And I learned to play the deck originally from my friend Adam, who played, what was it, Cyber Dragons in it, way back in the day. He played Artifacts in it. I've seen so many different builds of Galaxy Eyes throughout my life. Now, this one, Galaxy Knight, is something that vehemently, and I say vehemently, I was always a proponent of it being a 2-of in the deck. No ifs, ands, or buts, because it could get bricky. However, with the new support and the deck being radically changed in the way you play and everything, I have tested it out at 3-of, and I like it at 3-of. If it gets dead, I can use it as trade-in fodder. But I find myself a lot of times in this deck not really having a normal summon sometimes. Sometimes I'll go special, 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 make the Link monster, special, special, make this Exceed monster, normal summon Galaxy Knight, bring back a Galaxy Dragon that I pitched through the graveyard through some means, making a level 8 Exceed play, and going off. I also find myself a lot of times this being a follow-up play. And what I mean by that is, say they crack my board, alright, and I have a Galaxy Dragon engrave, which most of the time I do. If I play my deck correctly and I have a good, decent hand, I'll go normal summon, bring this back, go for a level 8 Exceed, and there we go. Galaxy Knight also helps precipitate, along with some other cards, to help you go in for the big, big, big boy, I call him, Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which, if you can bring this guy out, I have never lost a duel when I have, but you can easily do that along with Photon Lead. With Galaxy Knight and this and Photon Lead, you can easily go for this guy. So, yeah, overall I like him as a 3-of. I'm a proponent of it now compared to what I was originally before the new support came out, quote unquote. Next we run 1 Galaxy Blade. I explain this card to people as being kind of the same as Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon in that sense. And what I mean by that is, you reveal a Galaxy or Photon monster in your hand, special summon. If you have something engraved, you can make it that attack. But what you try to do is you try and use it for level manipulation. Either I'm trying to go for a level 8 play, or I'm trying to go for a level 4 play with this card. So it's a versatile card in that aspect, but it does take some setup, and I will say that. It's also a level 8, so if any of these cards are dead in hand, I do run 2 trade-in, so you can trade them in and just draw more cards. Especially like if you have multiple Galaxy Eyes in your hand, you can just pitch one to the grave, draw 2 cards, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 targets for 2 trade-in, which is kind of nice. But yeah. Next we run a funny card here, which is Galaxy Soldier. And every time I play this card, when I was at the regionals or it be in real life, people think I'm going into infinity. And by the way, if you guys want to know my record at the regionals, it was 3-3-1, but we'll talk about more of that at the end. It was a 9-round regionals. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. I just want to get to the deck profile first. But everybody thinks when you're using this card, you're going for infinity. And they'll usually ash this search. Well, that's cool and all, but usually I'm just going for something else. You know what I mean? Like, this card is not always going to go for infinity if you play against this version of the deck. You're not doing that. Sometimes, yeah, you go search Galaxy Soldier, search Galaxy Soldier. That is true, and that does happen a lot when you're making a board. But usually what you're doing is you're going to searching something else, actually, maybe. So Galaxy Soldier is good. It's a 2000 attacker. You're using it for other things besides infinity. But yeah, very good card. Definitely staple in the deck. Really, originally when this card came out, it made me want to play Galaxy Eyes. But my World Superstars secrets I've had for years, yeah, we still run them. Next we run 3 Galaxy Wizard. I was back in the day always a proponent of this card being a 1 to 2 of. With the new support, it's a 3 of. Yes, it does take committing a normal summon, but that's fine. Usually it has so much versatility in what it can do because you don't really rely upon the normal summon that much in this deck. You're either making him a level 8 to go for an Exceed play, you're either tributing him off to get a search, or you're using him for a level 4 Exceed play by going into some other means, which is nice to have. So he has a lot of versatility because this deck usually what it's going to go for is level 5 plays, which is usually Infinity or Pleiades if you wanted to run that. It's going for level 4 plays, which is nice, so you still have that little bit of rank 4 toolbox. Or you're going for level 8 plays by going for your big heavy hitter guys. So that's why we run 3 Galaxy Wizard. 3 Photon Orbital. I'm so happy they made this into a card. I know we had Orbital 7, but I really never used that in Galaxy Eyes because it was such a bad card. I'm happy they put his artwork in here actually, and he's actually pretty good. He gives you 500 attack to your Galaxy Eyes or Photon monster you attach it to, I believe it is, which I do use, but mainly I use him to pop to search out cards I need to. So overall, really versatile card, amazingly cool card to have, and it's a staple 3 of in this deck. Has to be. Next we run 2 Photon Thrasher. You only need to run 2. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll go Photon Thrash or Special Summon, activate the token generator to bring out my tokens, go for a link play there, and then I can go into different combo plays from there after I make my link monster, depending upon what I have in graveyard and so forth and so on. But yes, definitely a staple 2 of in the deck, along with 2 Photon Vanisher. Now, before the ban list, I was running 3 Photon Vanisher in the deck, and I was perfectly fine with that. The card's really good. The reason for that is because it helps you search out your Galaxy Dragon, which you can do through multiple different means, mind you, but depending upon your board and your hand and your setup, you want to have a Galaxy Eyes Dragon in your hand. That way you can destroy a special summon monster that your opponent has during their main phase, because you can pop it using the Link monster, which if you guys don't know, it's Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon. So you can use it. So you always want to have when Soul Flare is on the field, you want to kind of always try to have a Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, well, Galaxy Eyes Dragon in your hand. So it's always used. I always use this to search. But now that the ban list has happened and Call by the Grave is back at 3 of, I decided to cut one of them out because it's not necessary, but I put them down to 2 of. And it's been perfectly fine. You can still go for your rank 4 plays. He's still searchable. Everything's fine in the deck, and it functions fairly well still. So I have no problems from testing afterwards about running this at 2 of now. That's for your package. That's your main deck. Everything else, like, that's Galaxy Eyes and Photon. So let's get on to our standard stuff. Your hand traps, which I run 3 Ash because it's generic and it hits so many other decks. But depending upon my matchup, which I do have a side deck for this video, because I still have my regional deck put together. I'm still playing it. You still can side out your hand traps or side in what you need to for your, depending upon your matchup and everything of that nature. So yeah, it's pretty. You can easily side these Ashes in or out for side deck stuff. But I main deck them because they hurt every deck out there just about. 3 Call by the Grave because the ban list happened since the video. It's an effect now. So 3 Call by the Grave stops hand traps. People, and I'll take a tangent here to say this. People don't know how to play against this deck. It's a deck that personally I feel like can top a regional event if somebody knows what they're doing. The reason I think I could have done better, even though I was doing good that day, is because I ran into the FTK, but that's beside the point. I needed to maybe put some other side deck cards in. Like you'll see I have like my standard thing right now, but I was debating on what should I put in and what should I take out. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, what should I put in the side deck? What should I take out of the side deck? Maybe I main some cards instead of some other cards, but we'll talk more about that when we get to the side deck. But people, you'll find yourself like having to go into times, like with 3 minutes left on the clock, trying to win with this deck a lot of the time, because every time you're summoning a monster, somebody is going to read the effect because they just do not know what they do, and it's a deck that you never see being played, even though it's really good, and it has a lot of combos that you have to learn, just like basic combos, how to get, like, every hand I've gotten is playable. I have had to go through double strikes and an Ash and still make an Infinity and a Link monster on the field still. So you can win with this deck, and this deck is very versatile, and people misplay all the time playing against it. The 2 cards that hurt this deck the most, I'll say this, is Drill and Lock because you need your searching and drawing, and Ghost Ogre hurts just a little bit, but like not that bad. But it's usually the card that really hurts is Rivalry of Warlords. That card hurts this deck. So True Draco matchup is not fun. I've learned that, but you can still put up a fight and sometimes maybe pull out a win, which I've done. But every time I was playing at the regionals, and I'll say this, every game I've played in, I never get 2-0'd. Okay, I never just lose right away. We always go to game 3. It's always down to the wire. Like, all my games were close. All my games I could have won. I wish I had some other side deck cards in my deck than I did. But I felt like the deck functioned fairly well. But 3 Call by the Grave, sorry for going there a tangent for a second, but I want to talk about that because I really feel if somebody wanted to take this deck to our regionals, and if they just maybe play around with their side deck, they will do good. I feel like the main deck functions perfectly well. I am happy with the way it functions. It's amazing. 2 Galaxy Expedition. Okay. People run 3 of this, and I understand why. But it's easily searchable, and when I was running 3 of this, like back in the day, you never wanted to run 3 of this because it can get so bricky. It's an easily searchable card. You can easily search this card out if you need to. Been able to do it 1,000 times, it feels like. 2 of is all I want in the deck. 3 of is bricky. I never have... I know it adds consistency by running 3 of the card, but it's too much of a brick factor for me. And you can run it as a 3 of if you want to. It's perfectly fine, but I'm always the proponent of this being a 2 of in the deck. I know Galaxy Knight's one thing because it can help you with combo plays and comeback plays. This does take setup. And yes, the deck can put out level 5s and higher very easily, but it does take setup. And I do like it, and like I said, it's easily searchable. Next we run 2 Trade-In. You don't have to run this, but I do like it. It gives me a little bit of draw engine for the deck, especially if my hand gets bricky. One of the things I do love doing, and the fact that, say maybe I drew multiple Photon Vanishers, or I didn't even, like, I'm trying to just get to some cards I need to in my deck. The search, I get off Photon Vanisher to search for my Galaxy Eyes Dragon. adds this to my hand. I instantly add a level 8, activate trade-in, pitch this, draw 2 cards. Maybe then I normal summon a Galaxy Knight, bring this back, go for a level 8 play. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like you can, this sets up this, and then you can have this engrave, which then sets up Galaxy Knight. So yeah, that's the nice little thing about that I like. So 2 trade-in, 3 of us too much, but 2 you can try it out. I really, really like it. 3 Photon Vanisher. I only run 2 of the Link Monster because my entire month that I've been playing this deck, month and a half that I've played this deck, I have never, ever, ever gone into 3 of this Link Monster. Great Link Monster, no doubt, but I've never gone to 3 of them. I've never gone into 3 of this card. I've only gone into 2, you know, once in a while. Never have wanted to go into 3 of it. So that's why I run 3 Photon Vanisher, because I can use it for other Link plays like Borolo, Sword, depending upon the situation. But it helps me. One of the other ways you can use this card, which people forget, and it has won me a game or so here or there, is that these are level 2, 2000 attackers. Tokens, which you contribute to use Galaxy's effects. So I contribute off these tokens to bring this out onto the field if I have this in hand. So people forget about that effect of Galaxy-Eyes Dragon, which does come up from time to time if you're in the grind game, which this deck can grind very well. It's very explosive, very grindy. It's overall a very balanced, good deck. But yeah, 3 Photon Sanctuary helps with your Link plays, your main Link play, your Galaxy, and it can help you grind out for other things like your Galaxy-Eyes Dragon. Just very versatile, and you run it as a 3 of. Rhoda, staple, you run Warriors. Monster Reborn, it's amazing. Soul Charge, I never drew this at all at regionals, but it's such a damn good card, man. Like you run it, you run it. Then we run some last of one of Galaxy cards in the main deck. Galaxy Trance and Accelerate. So Accelerate I like as a 1-of. I was never a fan of this card originally, but I do like it as a 1-of in the deck. I will say that. It is nice. Galaxy Trance, I really, really want to run this as a 2-of, but I know it's not wrong. It's not right. It is easily searchable. It does, again, take some setup, and it's such a powerful card if you can get it off. I mean, super powerful, because what it can do is it can just, this is my comeback card. If I get this card off mid-game, every single time I win. I had to have somebody ash it one time to stop me, but it's just, it's your win condition. It's just like Soul Charge. It's a win condition card in this deck, it feels like. You activate this, you just go off because you get, like, you'll usually have a Galaxy on the field now, Galaxy-Eyes Dragon, bring back another Galaxy Dragon, and this is an instant level 8 play. Or if you need it to be an instant level 4 play, helps you go for your Link Monster if you want to, helps you go for level 8s if you want to. Overall, amazing, amazing, amazing card. And that's all we have for the main deck in spells. Next we have 2 traps. Now this, I really, 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 really like this card. Amazing card. So Tachyon Transmigration I run as a 2-of in the deck. Usually you're setting this card and it becomes a Solemn Judgment. So if when your opponent starts a chain, you can negate everything in that chain. Now, some people don't like this card. Some people don't run it. Some people feel like it's a bad card. Oh my gosh, this card's amazing if you're going first. And this deck loves going first. It can go, like, it can work going second. Like, if you want to go second with this deck, you'll be fine. You can break boards. Like, I can easily get around a Thunder Dragon board with this deck if I'm going second and other fields. But Tachyon Transmigration is really, really nice because it stops those chain links and everything. Depending upon my matchup, I'll sometimes side this out for Gozen match instead, because Gozen is amazing in this deck because everything I have is light, so I just go Gozen match and just shut you down. So depending upon my matchup, I'll either run this or Gozen match, or I side deck these out if I'm going first or second. But it's such a good card, I run it in the deck, either main or side deck it. It's such a good card. Tachyon Transmigration. So, let's go on to the extra deck. We run 2 Galaxy-Eyes Soul Dragon. Now, I run this as a 2-of. I find that 3-of is just, I never go into 3 of it. I'm just going to say that. I cut it out because I want to make space for other things. 2 number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. This is one of your negators for the deck. You run 2 of it. It's an amazing card. It's one of your ways you build boards with just about every game. If everything works out, you will go for this guy. 1 Photon Dragon. He's your building block. He also works with Photon Transmigration, which is amazing. 162 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. If you have the Photon Dragon equipped to this, it is a pain for Thunder Dragons to get over these cards. Like, Thunder Dragons have big cards, but this gets destroyed, you bring it back, and they're just like, oh, screw it, I can't get around this. I have cracked Thunder Dragon boards with this guy so many times. The Galaxy Eye Cypher Blade Dragon, it's amazing as well as your Photon full armor, which is amazing. We also run the number 38 Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy, which against certain matchups, this card is you go for this instead of this because this can stop spells. The big boy himself, Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, you can easily go for this in the deck. Like, you can, like, very easily go for this. So you run it. It's like a skill drain on legs. If you don't know what this card does, read up on it. For your level 4s, I run 1 Star Liege Photon Blast, which is a great card to have. I've gone for this card multiple times. It's a good one of, and it has a multiple versatility for protecting your boards. Star Liege Pile of Dynamo. You run this guy. You run this guy. This thing I have made to out Colossus. You go into this when they have Colossus, or just anything that's just a pain to get over. You banish it by detaching 2, and then when this dies and goes to graveyard, you get to draw a card. So it's self-replacing in some aspect. So overall, great card. Then we run 1 Cyber Dragon Nova and 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. You could go for Pleiades if you want to, but I'm always going for this. And then I also run for cracking boards and winning 1 Borreload Dragon and 1 Boral Sword Dragon. There are other cards you can run out there, other Galaxy packages. Now you may ask yourself, Seto, why are you not running Dark Matter Dragon? If you were running the Felgrand version of this deck like I used to up until the new support came out, I would say this to you. You run Dark Matter in that deck because you're running multiple dragon targets. Arcbrave, Felgrand, Photon Dragon, all that stuff. In this build, how many dragons am I running in the main deck? 1. 3 of them actually have 1. Galaxy Eyes Dragon. So Dark Matter doesn't really help you out in this deck that much. You get why I'm going with this? Really doesn't help you out. So Dark Matter, that's why he's not in the deck. But there are other variations of Galaxy Eyes you can add to the deck if you wanted to. But these are the ones that I decided to run, and they've worked for me. And you can play around with the ratios. Like I said, if you didn't want to run Borreload or Borrelord for cracking and breaking boards, you can run more rank 4s, run more level 8s. You can use these slots as you see fit. But this is what I went into because I always find myself be able to go sometimes for these level 4 plays just off the bat and just be like, okay, OTKU. I need to crack that big board you have. Just go for Borreload. So that's why I run these in the deck for that reason. They help me with other plays and give me other link options in the deck. So yeah, that is the deck profile, the main deck and whatnot. But we're going to go now to the side deck for you guys to talk about that quickly. Now, one thing I will mention that people ask me about is why, Seto, do you not run, as I lay my side deck out here for you guys, why do you not run the Mech Knights? Now, I always get asked that question. Why don't you run the Mech Knights? They're so good in the deck. They help you make level 8s. All right. I'm going to say 2 things about that. Number 1, when you're going first with this deck, the Mech Knights are 85 to 90% of the time not going to help you. The only way you can easily get those Mech Knights out going first is if you have the Photon card to bring out the tokens, thus setting up a special summon for your thing maybe, or you go for the link play and then you're able to do it. most of the time going first with Mech Knights, they're dead. Okay, just dead. I also find that it doesn't really cohere with the engine. What I mean by that is, yes, they're level 8. Yes, you can run the engine. It's a little big engine, but it just does not... Qu'est-ce que c'est? It just didn't work for me. Like, every time I ran it, I bricked. I would get these weird hands, and I'm just like, this does not help me. The Mech Knights are there to help go for your level 8 plays. But I already can go well for level 8 plays, so it's just like icing on top. Like, it's like extra ice cream on an ice cream cake. You don't need no more ice cream. It just messes with the deck or the cake in this example. That's what I found out from playtesting. Now, if you want to run the Mech Knights, go ahead, be my guest. I've had discussions with this with other players that have played this deck, but I'm telling you, I've played this deck extensively. I played for a week with the Mech Knight engine, and I hated it. When I took it out, my deck just got more consistent, better overall, and I was perfectly fine with it. The Mech Knights just do not do enough for me in this deck. They're not worth running level 8s that brick when I go first. While I could do other amazing boards if I was going second and first, like, they're great for that. Like, this deck is fine going second already. It's fine going first. The Mech Knights may mean that you have to go second every time, and this deck is, compared to first and going second, it's amazing going first deck. So, I mean, you can run them if you want to, be my guest, but from playtesting, I did not like the Mech Knights in the deck, and that's what I'm going to say. That's why you don't see them. Side deck wise here, let's just go over this very quickly here. I know this is a very comprehensive deck profile. 2 Drill and Locks, 2 Ghost Spell, Ghost Ogre, 3 D-Barriers, 3 Gozens, amazing. 3 Red Reboots. The card I wish I ran in the deck when I was at the regionals is, whatchamacallit, the Twin Twister, not Twin Twister, but the Twin Twister Trap card. I ran into a lot of Altergeist, which was an easy matchup, but it would just been nice to get around some of the back row. So that's what I find I wish I ran a little bit more of, especially like I ran into 2 Draco against my friend. So some back row removal would be nice in the deck for those paleo and other matchups like that, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Apologize that it's very, 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 very long, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.